Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. Usually, when I come to do a video, I have in my mind, okay, I want to go here, then I want to go here, then I want to go here. Right now, I'm just going to start. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, just start. So it may not come out as smoothly as I like my videos to come out. There might be a few more ums and ahs than I like, but I just got to jump in. Talking about the Indiana Fever playing the Atlanta Dream in game one of round one of the WNBA playoffs. Obviously, Indiana lost the game. Final score, 80-68. And the thing about the score, as I said during the live stream yesterday, is that it doesn't tell the full story because the game was a lot closer than that final score suggests. And I'm going to talk about aspects of the game. I'm going to look at the box score, but I'm going to start at what I believe is the obvious place to start. And that's with the officiating. People are talking about the officiating all over the place. Articles are being written about the officiating. It's interesting because I commented on X after the game. I commented about the team, one of the teams, and I wasn't talking about the Indiana Fever, and I wasn't talking about the Atlanta Dream. I was talking about the team I called the Atlanta referees. And I commented about the, if we got to have the Atlanta referees to play against, could we at least not have the slippery Dollar General gym floor? Someone commented that you couldn't blame anything. You couldn't blame the game on the officials. And I'm like, yeah, you could. Can't blame all of it on the officiating. But if you think, as I said to this person, that the officiating did not play a role in the game, I don't know what game you're watching. Everybody's talking about it because it was blatant. It was obvious. You even had Rebecca Lobo and Ryan Rucco calling the game, and they're calling out the officiating. So, yeah, absolutely played a factor in the game. Let's take a look at a few headlines concerning the officiating, and then I'm going to go on over to X so we can take a look at some stuff concerning that, the officiating, that is. Here's one. Fever's game one loss featured two coaches' challenges, two technical fouls as Indiana irked by refs. And another, WNBA officials forced Stephanie White's hand during Fever's playoff game versus Atlanta Dream. And this one, frustrating foul issues took Fever out of rhythm. They'll need to adjust quickly to survive. And what the hey, let's do another. Fever coach's two-word referee lament after Dream playoff loss says it all. Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White expressed irritation at the referees of her team's September 14th playoff loss to the Atlanta Dream. I'm going to read just a little bit of this. So scrolling down, the Indiana Fever suffered an 80-68 defeat to the Atlanta Dream during game one of their 2025 WNBA playoffs first round series on September 14th. As a result, the Fever need to win their September 16th home game against Atlanta to bring the series to a winner-take-all game three, or else their 2025 campaign will come to an end. Sunday's, pay close attention to this one, Sunday's defeat was a frustrating one for the Fever. In addition to the short-handed roster simply not having enough firepower to compete with the Dream down the stretch, it felt like Indiana was also playing against the game's referees at times. And now let's just read this paragraph. Specifically, there was a lot of irritation at third-year official Marcy Williams, as Williams made several mistakes in the first half that caused Stephanie White to use both of her challenges, each of which was successful. And White's irritation boiled over in the fourth quarter as she received a technical foul after an emotional outburst that required her to be held back by Caitlin Clark and several other Fever players. We'll take a look at Marcy Williams in a moment. Here's the WNBA's big problem one of them. After a playoff game, game one, setting the stage, players have been working hard all season to get to this point. And after the game, you've got several articles, and there are more, talking about officiating. You have, and it's not just the Indiana Fever. I'll show you something in a moment. Natalie Nakase from the Golden State Valkyries, she lit into them. I wonder how much she's going to be fined. But we're talking about officiating almost as much, if not more, than we're talking about everything else. That's a problem for this league. And it's especially a problem for the Indiana Fever because the way this team is officiated, the disrespect, the incompetence, what appears to be downright blatant, fill in the blank, blatant bad officiating, it's just egregious. And this is the playoffs, and it's just, and I can imagine, as I looked over at the sideline, as I looked over at Stephanie White and the players on the court, Caitlin off on the sideline as well, all the players sitting there, I'm just, it's so frustrating because, if you watch the chat if you watch the live streams and you're in the chat, I get I'm like so frustrated because that's something you just can't control. You can't control. Now, I think it was the last article I'll share with you, the SI.com article. It's talking about how they didn't have the depth or whatever to combat down the stretch. And that's the frustrating part of this game, in addition to the officiating. This game could have been won by the Indiana Fever. Could have been won. And so to the person who says, well, it really didn't come down to the officiating, I don't know if I'd use the term come down to the officiating, but it plays such a huge role. Yes, Indiana struggled to score. Also, Atlanta struggled to score. It's not like they were, just had a great shooting percentage. Like, both teams struggled to score. But officiating in this game was huge because, as I just shared there, Stephanie White had to use both of her challenges in the first half, and those challenges were successful, which tells us that the officials got it wrong. But just going and conferring for 20 hours like they do and coming back and saying, okay, it's successful, it doesn't change the fact that you just broke the flow. It doesn't change the fact that now I've used my challenges. So for some who have said that it was toward the end there where the officials started inserting themselves in the second half, which they did. So you could look at that and go, okay, the officials inserted themselves in the second half when it was close, and that's when it blew the roof off. And it's true, right? There was a certain point where the officiating had an absolute definite impact right then and there. But I submit to you that the impact was before that, because by you getting it wrong and jacking it up in the first half, that meant that as we get to the second half, when the game is so much on the line, I got no more challenges. I got no more challenges for your horrible, obviously horrible calls. And even the challenges on calls that are obviously bad. And this is what I've heard people say before commentating on the game. And I say too, remember the days when officials would, if they got it wrong, regularly got it wrong, they would confer. You didn't have to, they didn't always have challenges, but they would just correct the call. And now they act like they didn't do anything wrong. Like they can't, like one official can't say to the other official, you got that wrong. And then you just reverse it. No, I got to use my challenge. So yes, it did impact the game later on, but it impacted the game right away because your bad calls, I got to use my challenge. Now I don't have my challenge. And not only that, who are you calling the bad calls on? So here's the thing. Sometimes, like this game, you look at how many free throws were taken. And you go, well, that wasn't a problem because they took as many free throws as the other team, so it wasn't unfair. It's more to it than that. Again, who is getting called for fouls? That matters, because if it's AB, as it was, and now she's got to go to the bench and sit down, that impacts the game. Even if you call a foul for somebody on the team, you still are calling fouls against players who have to go and sit. Or Lexi Hall, who is just a beast on defense, and you give her no respect and call phantom fouls on her. It adds up. And if you understand the game, you understand how that works. So to say that the officiating doesn't play a factor in a game where players are missing shots, you're wrong. It does. It absolutely plays a factor. It does. And it's frustrating because you can't do anything about it. And you feel almost certain that this is on purpose, but you can't prove it, and you can't even speak out against it without getting a fine. Really strange. So I'm going to say again, Indiana could have won this game. Indiana it was a 15-6 start to this game. We're going to look at some things that other people posted about officiating, and then we're going to look at the numbers and try to wrap this whole thing up. I told you this isn't organized. I'm kind of all over the place. All right, so let's go on over to X, and the links will be in the description of this video, of course. Since we mentioned Marcy Williams, we might as well start with her. There she is. So you see here, Ashwin posted, game was close here at 53-60, and then the refs decided to step in and pull off their masterclass. Absolutely disgusting work. And he shows this here, Bree Jones, Jordan Canada. And you see here, foul. Leah Boston, personal foul. That's her fourth. Leah Boston, personal foul. That's her fifth. You see how close in time? 9:04 in the fourth quarter, 8:58 in the first quarter. Leah Boston, 4 fouls, 5 fouls. The score was close. So he's saying the score was close, and I'm saying to you that this is the problem, right? The dirty work began early in the game when you jack stuff up, and I had to use my challenges early, and then I couldn't challenge your mess later on. Ashwin posted, Stephanie White gets a tech, all because these WNBA refs are absolutely incompetent at their jobs. Let's take a look at what caused her to get that technical and the whole bench to be livid.
She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. A couple of possessions in a row as Petty's in there.
So we obviously saw what caused them to get upset. And actually, let me turn the sound off and just kind of go back a little bit. So when we see them gathered down here, already she must have grabbed her because AB is already up. She's the first one up. Now keep it. Let me just put this on. Let me slow it down. Playback speed. I'll put it on that. Sounds off. Watch how they get up. AB's already up. Then here you see Christmas. She's up. Stephanie White's making her way down there. Heated. Everybody's up. Everybody sees it. And everybody cannot believe that that's not called. Now, I said, Stephanie, don't get a second one. Don't get a second one. You know, we were in the live stream. I said, glad you got the first one. Don't get a second one. Somebody said on social media that they really thought that perhaps she was trying to get that second technical and get tossed, that she was just that frustrated. But they didn't tee her up because she could have easily gotten that second tee because she did not stop. And there she is right there. There's that technical. Yeah, right there. And then she kept going. So she could have gotten tossed from the game. And at that point, you realize that they're not playing fair. And if you read through the comments here, you can see You can see what people are saying. The referees decided the outcome. The W is not a serious league. Why does everyone say incompetent when it's clearly intentional? You can't be incompetent one way for a year and a half. Why does no one say that they're cheating? Why does no one ask who's directing them to cheat? In my opinion, this person says, and on and on. So Indiana lost what I believe was a winnable basketball game. Started out 7-0. Ended up 15-6 at one point. Definitely winnable. Sure, we missed shots, etc. But like I said, winnable game, I felt, and great opportunity was there to get that, to steal that first game. It gets frustrating when you have to talk about the officiating, though. Natalie Nakase of Golden State Valkyries, she has some feelings about the officiating as well. Let's go to Instagram, ESPNW. ESPNW wrote, Natalie Nakase called out the officiating after the Valkyries lost to the Lynx in game 1. Let's listen a little bit to what she had to say.
It takes then our aggression away. And that's where I'm not okay with. I want to fight fair. I really do. I want a clean fight, but I love the fact that both teams are playing with their hearts out, they're fighting. But I would like it to be fair. Yep.
More on the foul stuff. Did you feel like that sort of created some frustration in like the third and like maybe second quarter there
for me, yeah. It did. Yeah. And for me, that's why I got a T. Because at what point is it going to be fair?
Now listen to this one. This is probably where the fine really came in.
Now, we're playing the number 1 team. We're playing the best team in the league. They don't need no help. You know, this team is great. They're stacked. They play well. They play beautiful basketball. They're coached well. They don't need their help.
Can there be any more plain? You know what she's saying right there? They don't need no help. She said they're the number 1 team. They got a great team. They got great pieces. They don't need your help, officials. In parentheses, you're helping them. It sounds to me like she believes it's on purpose. And she said, I want to be fair. So it's not just like, oh, you guys are just the ones complaining about officiating. The officiating throughout the league is egregious. It's worse for the Indiana Fever. Let's go to the box score on ESPN.com and wrap this thing up. Indiana 68, Atlanta 80. Indiana won the first quarter 21-18. Only scored 12 points in the second quarter. 12, Indiana 22, Atlanta 20 points. Indiana in the third quarter beating Atlanta's 18. Fourth quarter, 15 points from Indiana, and Indiana gave up 22 points like Indiana did in the second quarter. And we look at Indiana here. We only had 2 players in double digits. So like I said, we did not shoot the basketball well. So we have to hold responsibility for that, of course. Kelsey Mitchell, 27 points on 9 of 18 shooting. She also had 4 assists and a block in the game. Then we had 10 points from Odyssey Sims, who was 3 for 7. She gave us a scare during the game with that slippery behind cheap Dollar General floor. She went down. It's not just Indiana. I mean, you have Atlanta Dream players falling down off that mess. Get a real court, please. So 10 points from Odyssey Sims, who also had 3 assists, 2 steals. And no one else was in double digits, but Lexi Hall. I gotta point out Lexi Hall, who was scored 9 points. She was 3 of 13 from the field, and she had 4 rebounds and an assist. Now, Venom, if you're familiar with Venom on YouTube, he commented on X about Lexi Hall. Venom posted, the Lexi hate never fails. Yes, she shot 3 for 13, but context never matters with you casual box score watchers. 4 of her 10 missed shots were under 5 seconds or less from receiving the ball. She missed 6 decent shots, but Ryan Howard missed 11 shots. She, meaning Lexi, played way better defense and made up for whatever she lacked on offense. So in other words, yeah, Lexi missed 6 decent shots, but Lexi, who was guarding Ryan Howard, caused her to miss 11 shots, and Lexi makes up on defense all the time. He went on to say, run with whatever narrative you want, though. We not new to this. You disappear when she performs great offensively. The ones that get it, get it. I get it. And then I saw somebody comment about Kelsey Mitchell. Oh, all Kelsey Mitchell cares about is scoring. Well, you know what? We need her to score. We don't have the players we thought we were going to have, in case you haven't noticed. So we needed every one of those 27 points on 9 of 18 shooting. Somebody posted something on X that I thought it is worth highlighting. Someone named Michael. He wrote, Kelsey Mitchell shot 9 for 18, 50% yesterday. The rest of the team shot 13 for 45, 29%. She guarded Alicia Gray all game and held her to 5 for 16 from the field. No one on either team had more assists than her, other than AB, who had one more. And people still say all she does is score. This is one of the things people will hear me talk about during the live streams a lot. And that is, you have to watch the whole game. You just say, oh, Lexi Hall, she just 3 for whatever it is. Oh, Kelsey Mitchell, she got 27 points, so that must mean she don't want to pass the ball. They ignore the fact that her assists are up. They ignore Lexi Hall's defense. Sometimes they're like, well, we're leaving everybody open. We're not. They're not watching screens that are being set, all the things. And so I challenge people to look at the whole thing. But when it comes to things like Kelsey, oh, she just about Kelsey, and it comes to things about Lexi, sometimes people have a narrative and they're going to go with the narrative no matter what. Doesn't matter what else. And so it is what it is. Now, the team did miss shots, both teams. And AB, the foul situation is one thing. And also Bree Jones is a beast to deal with. Brittany Griner's got length, but she really wasn't a factor in the game. But it's tough. It's tough. It's tough with Atlanta. They're physical. I think we even had a situation, speaking of officiating, where Lexi Hall went to turn around. Like, she's standing there and she needs to go down the other end of the court, and she turns around, but Ryan Howard is just standing there. And so Lexi bangs into Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard falls down, and all of a sudden they're looking not only to see if that's a foul, but they're looking to see if they need to upgrade it. What are we doing here? That gets to be frustrating. And as Natalie Nakase said in the comments I showed you, all these things play a factor, because if you are in foul trouble, or if you know that you're not getting any kind of whistle at all and everything you do is going against you, you have to play differently. You have to be less aggressive. It changes the whole dynamic when officials insert themselves. And like I said, 2 challenges had to be made during the first half. And then in the first half, it kind of looked like, we're in good shape. But then when you get to the second half and you realize that the calls are jacked up, but you can't do anything about it. And then you see the officials inserting themselves even more. My thought is this. There's obviously the Fever gets no respect, and I wouldn't be surprised. I got no inside information, but I wouldn't be surprised, based on everything we've seen this year and last year, if there is a concerted effort to do the Indiana Fever dirty. Now, I think that people thought Indiana was going to go into Atlanta and just get blown out the gate. But Indiana was blowing the other Atlanta out in the beginning of the game. So now, how we mess with the calls? And if it's not intentional, then it's incompetent. And either way, it's bad. Either way, it's egregious. So now Indiana's holding its own, doing well. And now we insert ourselves, and we do so even blatantly in the second half. And like I said, my thoughts are all over the place, because not only did Coach get a tee, but then right after that, they teed Odyssey up. I did a video, and I said, before the series started, I said that if Indiana could go into Atlanta and steal game 1, the possibility was great that Indiana could sweep the series. The score doesn't even tell how close it was. But now Indiana is back home. Thankfully, Indiana has a home game, but I'm hoping that they don't play like like they're playing not to lose instead of playing to win, because it is do or die. So now they have to hope to get whole cold. I mean, bottom line is, as frustrated as people were with the loss, and it was frustrating because it's a game you could have won, all Atlanta did was do what Atlanta's supposed to do with the help of the Atlanta referees. That's the name of the referee group here. All Atlanta did was do what Atlanta's supposed to do, and that is win at home, hold serve at home. That's why they had the record they have, right? So they get home court advantage. So that's their home court advantage. They did only what they were supposed to do. Would have been nice if Indiana could have taken back home court advantage taken it from them. And now Indiana gets to go home and do what Indiana's supposed to do, and that is win on their home court, right? So they win at home, and then they got to go back. And now, instead of stealing game 1, they got to steal game 3. But first, they can't look past game 2 in Cambridge. And God help them to get out ahead and do it early. Because if it comes down to a close game, all of a sudden officials put on a jersey of another team. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. All right. Scattered thoughts. But there they are. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.